I've been thinking about technology a lot, and this goes back to my first company that I was involved in back in the late 80s and early 90s. And I think of it as the technology industry attacking me from Silicon Valley, giving me something I really want, and then making it almost impossible to use in a way that works for me. Um, Jesse has joined us as a founding member for this particular reason. And he's running a weekly technology clarity session because he knows how to help people get into technology clarity really quick.
Larry, thank you for having me. Pleasure joining. And yes, they absolutely do that. There is a million solutions out there, and sometimes it can seem really difficult to pick the right one. And a lot of them may be more than what you need. So, hopefully, I can help guide people to the solution they need that makes them not feel like they're being attacked by technology and more like they can be friends with technology. That's what I'm hoping to accomplish.
What works about your approach to me is you're an expert in both sides, and this is very rare in the technology world. And we're going to talk about this today more. And for me, the old world is Silicon Valley and the technology people being in charge of anything significant. They should be in part of the team, but not running the team. The people running the team should be the experts in the experience that technology is being applied to. And you seem to have an ability to be an expert in the experience, the people using the technology are going through, and then know how to make the technology serve that. And I have never seen this except from Steve Jobs from Silicon Valley.
So I feel like part of that is because ever since I was little, I've been messing around with technology. And, when you're a little kid, you have to explain to your parents, what are you doing? So I always had to tell my mom and dad, oh, this is what I'm doing. This is how it works. This is why I
Oh,
need money for this. So I think that's where it started. And then along the way, I realized that I loved educating people on it. I didn't just want to do it for them. I wanted to walk away with them being able to be like, okay, I think I can do some of this myself now, and have that sense of accomplishment and not be so daunted by these amazing, wonderful tools that really can improve quality of life and quality of business.
the first technology bot attack for me was Microsoft.
Mm.
And it's almost the opposite of what you're talking about from the experience of the user. So my dad was one of the first people in his industry to get a computer. Um, and when I took over the growth of that company, and it was basically my dad, my mom, and my grandma, and me then showing up saying, "Oh my God, I hope I don't have to do this more than a month." And I stayed for 7 years, and I took that company and turned it into a professional distribution company based on using technology in a smart way that allowed me to scale it. They never had employees before, and now all of a sudden we got a whole team. We became the dominant company in our industry. It's a longer story. The way I got there was knowing as an expert through figuring it out what was needed, and the technology was absolutely essential. And I got one computer running Microsoft, and we built this relational database and access, or I did, without any technology skills or aptitude for technology. And the way it was constructed for me was a nightmare.
So,
I blame Microsoft and the entire technology industry for this.
well, I can tell you that if you speak to anyone in the tech industry, we will all join you in blaming Microsoft for many
Everything.
things. Trust me, they don't make our lives much easier, either.
Uh,
Um, I think though, and you touched on it earlier. I think a big thing that's missing in today's tech and IT world is that relationship. Um,
yeah.
it's a company owner being like, I just want this to work, and then the IT people just making it work, but then offering no explanation of how it works. And I don't like that approach
Mm-mm.
because then how do you really know that's a good fit? How do you know the scalability is there? Is that really what they wanted? And I feel like Silicon Valley in the IT world, they're moving away from the human element. They're taking that
Yeah.
out of IT, and I
Yeah.
really feel like that needs to stay there.
Yeah, they're doing the opposite of what works, right now, and we all know this on the other end of the tube that they've created, which is a constant attack of technology bots on our life every day. So a perfect example, we bought a furnace. Our furnace went out, and I had 2 choices, Amana or Carrier, and I looked them up. I know how corporations work, so I looked it up, and Carrier talks about furnaces in terms of passion. Right? So they hired some corporate communications agency and they talk about interior heating and innovation and heating. And I'm like, okay, we're going with Carrier. Amana just bought a furnace company to make more money. So I'm like, screw them. So everything goes well, except what? The thermostat. And the poor guy, he's like, look, I don't know what the hell's going on here. We'll have to check with Carrier. Well, it was a firmware update that didn't happen. I have a feeling that Carrier doesn't even understand this because there's some technology company that did this for them and they're stuck with it and it's a mess. It doesn't work right. It still doesn't work right.
Unfortunately, that is happening a lot these days where you'll have companies third party out the tech part of it. You call them up for support and you'll have them and then they'll do all the basic troubleshooting that everyone knows how to do. Oh, well, did you turn it off, turn it back on? Well, of course I did. And
Yeah.
they don't understand how their own tech product
You
works,
have no idea.
and then you're stuck going online looking for guides, calling waiting a week for this other third party company to get back to you that doesn't
Yeah.
care about you and that your thermostat's not
Yeah.
working. Which there are solutions still out there that don't do that, so
Oh,
they do exist.
well, I'm going to give you an example of two business applications. So, with my sales outsourcing company, my lead gen company, we were innovating. So this started 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011. Um, and I'm innovating in the market, trying to figure out how do I create a revenue department. So the challenge is the industry and technology doesn't understand what I'm doing at all because they didn't do what I was doing for so many years. Lead gen, calls, outbound, email. Like none of these people had ever done any of this stuff. They just built technology software platforms for it. So the industry divided into parts, inbound part, outbound part, calling part, email part. It's like ridiculous. So we found Sharp Spring for marketing and we found Close for the sales organization. And HubSpot was trying to put this stuff together, but we're like, we don't like that company and the way they're doing it and the way they're going to work with us. You could tell they're a problem. So we went with Close and they gave us an agency model and it worked, but it took almost 2 years for us to figure out how to integrate everything in that and turn it into a revenue department. And I haven't worked in that company for 4 years. My partner's running it and they did it. They had to build what the technology company couldn't even understand because they don't know anything about what we were trying to do.
So I think that's common to a trend that is happening a lot nowadays, even within my own company, which for reference, those who don't know, I work for a managed service provider, which means we manage other companies' IT for them, the entire kit and caboodle, to simplify it. We have a platform in which we take stuff on, but within that platform, the company that we use gives us the ability to customize and build things out the way that we want to run it, we want to manage it within the parameters. And they allow for the scalability. So we can quickly deploy our agents, our AV, etc. Um, so there was a learning curve. It took a bit, but we don't have to deal with third party so and so, this person, this person. If there's an issue, I got one person or one company I have to go to for support to get it resolved if we can't do it ourselves. And that should kind of be the goal, where if you have an issue, ideally there should be one person that you're going to if you can't solve it yourself to get it solved.
So what we found with this company, the Entrepreneur Experience Campus, brought to you by Red Pill Pathway, was that Go High Level, Welo, Discord, and Notion were the 4 best platforms. And as I got into it deeper, I realized they're also the most complex. And the thinking process that led to them is what I call the analytical organizer blueprint type. So these are people who can think in boxes, linear, organizational structures really, really well. I am not that. I am the magical creator thinker type where I think in creative lateral bursts of connecting um, vision, energy. So I'm trying to figure out how to work in their system. It's not going to happen. Not at the scale of the platform we built, because this platform is extensible, it's scalable, and it is new. So no one has integrated what we just integrated with Go High Level, Notion, Discord, and Welo, the video metaverse campus. How do we do it? A whole bunch of people showed up and helped me, and I didn't pay anybody. If I had hired, people will say, "Well, what's the problem? Just hire a team." You know how much it costs? It would cost me. It would have cost me probably a couple hundred grand to hire a team to do what we just did, and they would have done it wrong because my vision would have been removed from the process because they would have forced me into their thinking process. And that's what kept happening every time I hired an expert. So I stopped hiring experts altogether.
So you're definitely right in the in the money part, because I mean I know our own prices and how long you've been working at this. So these kinds of projects not cheap. Now, as far as the forcing it into the thinking, unfortunately, in our line of work, there is a lot of legal red tape, and a lot of other things that we have to consider. So when we're building out a system, when we're doing integrations and everything like that, in the old tech world, you got to just focus on the programming, the code. Will this work? And that
Ah,
was it. That's all you had to focus on.
are you talking about the
Now,
security kind of stuff? What's the regulation? It's security. Oh, got it. Okay.
yes. So
Yeah.
it's gone from will this work to okay, this will work. Is it secure? How secure is it? Is the liability on me?
Ah.
And that last portion is driving IT people crazy because it's a very new thing for us to deal with.
You said something really important, and let's broaden the conversation. So, Silicon Valley has extracted trillions of dollars from the economy, and they got houses on Santa Monica. Some of them have bought submarines, islands, spaceships. That's what's going on there. Um, these companies are insecure ad networks. So I don't want to get into what an ad network is and all that and too much detail, but they're based on data extraction, free content from users, not charging, and then in return providing an insecure platform that doesn't work very well, that is not integrated properly. And it's a quicksand mess, the whole thing, Amazon, Google, Facebook, the whole thing's a total mess. And I think we all know this. Now, there's a guy named Chris Dixon who works for Mark Andreessen, which is amazing to me because Mark is, I don't even want to go into Mark. Wrote an article about him, but Chris Dixon works for Mark Andreessen. He wrote a book called Read, Write, Own, and I read that book and I was like, "Oh, let's do this." So what he's talking about is building an entire new internet. And then I saw an article by Tim Berners-Lee, who created the www protocols on Medium, and he's like saying the same thing. He's like, you ruined my internet. It's a mess." I'm like, yeah, that's Google. That's what Google did. So it was started great. So is this real? Like, how does this actually what do you let's talk about this a little bit. Like, so the whole idea with Dixon is we already have the technology platform with the blockchain, smart contracts, crypto for currency exchange. We have a way to pay people to run it. So they get their own little piece of it just to keep it running so we can have high quality, not like some kind of crazy, um, shareware. I don't know what you call this, there's some of that stuff where nobody runs it, and then the only people who can use it are technologists. So what do you think about this? Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
I am familiar with what you're talking about, and also the whole concept of the internet is broken, especially security wise. And I do agree that in a lot of ways it's a hot mess. But I think a part that sometimes people may forget or overlook, or maybe don't even want to look at, because honestly, it's scary. Even if today we magically created a whole brand new platform, whole brand new internet to host these things, and it had all brand new security, I promise you, in less than a week, cyber criminals will find a way to break through it.
Oh, with blockchain as well?
Yeah, with blockchain as well. I mean, they already do crypto jacking.
Ah.
I can go on and on. I won't.
He doesn't
There
mention that in the book, I don't think. I'll have to look at it again, but I don't think he mentions that part. He's talking about it being secure.
It is more secure than traditional platforms. There's no argument on that. There
Mhm.
is no such thing as totally secure if it's connected to any kind of network.
That makes sense.
Unless, yeah, unless it's completely offline and not connected to anything else at all
We're not going
whatsoever.
back to that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's there's no such thing as 100% security anymore. Unfortunately, it's gone from if you get compromised to when you get compromised. There are things that need to be done, and like you said, this whole technologist elitist thing where they're the only ones who know what's going on, and everyone else is kind of playing in this messy sandbox.
Yeah.
I agree that needs to be fixed. I don't know the perfect solution though. Um,
I got
be-
one.
so because I do see things from not just the big guys, but also people like me, and the little IT guys perspective. Um, it's a tough question though for not for the big guys, for us though, who have to play in this sandbox. Which way do we
Yeah.
go, and what sandbox do we play in, and how do we secure it?
Yeah. So let's talk about the solution a bit. So how to get technology clarity when the software sucks is the topic here today. And this is kind of where we're going because we're solving this problem. So Silicon Valley left a legacy. We got amazing technology. I'm reading my LinkedIn thing, but it rarely works properly. So instead of drowning or fighting it, so what we're doing is we're fighting with corporate entrepreneur bots. So they call themselves entrepreneurs, but I don't see it the same way. I see it as corporate entrepreneur bots that are building something to extract wealth out of the environment, out of the economy, out of the market, so they can sell it to a bigger bot. That's what they're doing most of the time. So, how do we solve that? The way I think we solve it is we partner. So, the entrepreneur with the vision, that's me. With the expertise in what I'm doing, I know it better than anybody. And people like you and all these other people who showed up over the last year and wrote requirements documents with me, helped me figure out blah 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 blah, and what you're doing right now to help me figure out Welo and Discord and how to get the community working properly and all these things to me is the solution to this mess. Use the technology; it's already there. It's a mess, we know that, but take charge of it, and as a team.
Exactly. You have to tackle it as a team. I mean, yeah, even when I do something within my own company, which, even if it's a transactional experience, no. Our clients are our partners. We don't just view them as revenue. They're our partner. They also it's their business that we're managing. We don't have a say. They let us know what their vision is and we help work to get it there. And like you're saying, is a lot of people are building these things that start out really great,
Mhm.
and then Google or Mozilla or someone swoops in and is like, "I'll give you 100 million for it," and they're like, "Okay,"
And now you
and
just
then
ruined the entire company.
yeah, and then boom,
It's
yes.
over.
An excellent
Yeah.
example in the tech world, Alienware PCs used to be the king of gaming. If you had an Alienware PC, you knew you had top of the line. And they built this amazing brand, this amazing culture.
Mm.
Dell swooped in and bought them. And now you're basically laughed at if you spend the money on an Alienware in the gaming world. It's like, why would you waste your money on that? Why? Because the quality went down,
Yeah.
and the prices were jacked up because they have the name.
Yes.
So that has to stop. And you're right. This kind of partnership where you have that shared vision and goal, I think, is key.
I think that people don't think it's possible for things to change, and they're like, "Oh, these guys are naive." We're the 2 least naive people you're ever gonna meet. I am one of the least naive people you're ever gonna meet, and I know this is gonna change because there's a moment, and it's called a tipping point, where everybody is so sick of it, and we're there right now, that things change, but they don't have another pathway forward. And this is what we've created. We've created a pathway forward out of this nightmare. And what you can do on our campus, and you can come in whenever you want. We have a 7-day guest pass. Come into Jesse's technology clarity session, get some clarity on your technology. And then there's brand clarity sessions, there's content conversion clarity sessions, there's mindset clarity set. We have clarity sessions, financial clarity sessions, business clarity. We have clarity sessions for everything that an entrepreneur could be dealing with, plus a lot more than that. And there's no cash register at the end on the checkout because there's options. And one of those is good if you're broke. So there are solutions to this today. We are not waiting for these idiots to stop doing this stupid stuff in Silicon Valley. We're not going to wait. We're going to fix it today.
And quite frankly, I don't think they're ever going to stop. I try to look for the silver lining in bad news when I read it. Many people may not know that recently in the tech industry there was massive layoffs,
Yeah.
even though profits are at a record high. Another perfect example of them grabbing money for themselves. But the silver lining in that is we now have a bunch of highly skilled, knowledgeable people out in the wild who are waiting to make their mark, make the next great thing, that know how these companies work and how these platforms work and know how to build something better. And if we can find those people, or hopefully maybe even they take the initiative themselves, I feel like they can band together to build something great and knock these guys off their pedestal.
So here's the solution. So it's all about talent. And what Google's done for years and Microsoft and all these companies, they buy companies to get the talent. And then they fire everybody who doesn't have talent, but they're really not firing. They're often firing the wrong people because they don't understand what talent means, because they look at everything in terms of bits and bytes skills, mind processor skills. That is not the way to do this at all. That's completely wrong and backwards. And I've written a ton of articles about this. So what we want to do here is we want to attract the best and the brightest minds that are sick of the bot attacks, and they're sick of working for bots, technology bot companies. They're over the brand. Like, the idea of working at Facebook, Amazon, Google does not attract them. They're like, screw that. And they're also over the venture-backed funded software companies, because those are a nightmare to work for. I worked for a few. That is the worst possible lifestyle. If you're in your 20s, go for it. And once you know what you're doing, do not work for those people. They're unless you own it. But even if you own it, you just ruined your life for 10 years funding a bot, and maybe you'll get rich. Who cares, right? So we are creating an environment for you. They will be specialized groups for you, and you will get your entrepreneur vision mojo moving so you can do what you are great at doing as part of a team, learn how to do that effectively, and you're going to crush your former employer.
And yes, absolutely. And and I can say, and anyone who may be watching this is on the fence. I don't know if this is for me. Honestly, when I first spoke with Brian, and Brian and I like to joke about this, that like we have a great energy, and we get along great, but sometimes we're like on the two opposite sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Um, but it doesn't stop us from combining our skill set, our energy, and having a shared vision and possibly creating something that's never been made before. And that's what this offers. This offers all these
Mhm.
amazing resources, all these people with amazing experience and knowledge to get your vision, get your off the ground, or find it. Who knows? You know
Everybody's a different place. The fundamental principle here is don't be like me and don't be like Jesse. Be like you.
exactly.
I don't know any company in Silicon Valley, in technology, Boston, or otherwise, where that is real. They are every single one of them is taught Facebook. Now, I talked to somebody in an interview at Facebook, and they're looking at emotional intelligence on some kind of idiotic quiz. And I'm like, oh my God, don't work there unless you need the credentials in the network and then bail on them as fast as possible.
I Yes, I it's especially Facebook.
Are
I
they
know.
really particular? I cannot imagine what's going on in that pla and the whole idea of the meta okay, I wanna this is a tangent here, but I have to do it.
Go for it.
So, we're using the metaverse. We have a video metaverse platform built from a company called Welo. Facebook renamed their company Meta, and what I see on Facebook is a bunch of people hiding behind bots. I cannot even tell who's real, and there's so much marketing bullshit going on, and avatars and AI has completely infiltrated the whole thing. I cannot even figure out if anybody what they're doing. How are you possibly going to expect people to want to be in that metaverse environment? There's no way. And if you're hiding behind an avatar, what kind of a troll, a marketer, a spammer? There's hidden agendas everywhere. The metaverse, as it should be designed, is the opposite of that. And we're already doing that right now. We don't need Facebook or Meta to do that.
And honestly, you see it happening with the users. I mean, I grew up in the generation where pre-Facebook, we started with MySpace, and then
Yeah.
Facebook came out. When I used to log on Facebook, my feed was filled with people posting things and about their life, what's going on, like
Yeah. Yeah.
communicating. Now almost every single one of my friends says the same thing. The only reason I still keep Facebook is to use Messenger for my friends who live in different states. That's it. And even then, they're switching to WhatsApp, which is honestly a better way to do it. Better encryption as well.
Which is also Meta owned, and WhatsApp has got spammers and scammers all over the place. Infiltrate. I hate WhatsApp because of that.
So the bad news there is scammers and spammers are going to infiltrate any platform that will be made. Now, there are platforms that do more to deal with them
Our
and
Discord
handle them than
server
others.
so we're using Discord, which is the best chat communications community platform I've found, and I've tried almost all of them. And nobody can get in that to spam and scam us. I mean, they could hack in, but we don't have advertising and marketing people attacking us on a daily basis in there.
When a Discord channel grows, what ends up happening is people's accounts may get compromised, or and things like that, and then that's how they do it. Discord,
Mm.
though, like I said, every platform can get compromised, but some do more. The reason Discord has such a loyal base, I've been using it since it launched. I don't even know how many years ago. I would have to look
It's
it up.
amazing.
Yes, is because the moment they catch any kind of spam or bot activity, boom, shut down. They are very strict on it. Where Facebook, Insta,
It's based on
uh,
on marketing, so it's an
yeah,
ad network, so the entire thing is based on deception.
yes.
That's the business model.
and because that's the business model, you have cyber criminals who just get to jump and piggyback right off that and make it even worse. So whereas things like Discord and stuff like that, they don't allow that, and the servers are more secure. So
We're at time now. We got oh, we're pretty much out. So come and meet Jesse and me and everybody else. Just go to the events page, redpillpathway.com/events. You can come in for 7 days. There's no charge for that. Yes, we want to make money. We have paid programs. You can pay us, but you don't have to. We also have ways to help you make money. However you want to do it is fine with me. But let's take on these companies and find the plans. We already got them actually to Luke Skywalker our way into the Death Star and blow them up.
yeah,
Thanks, Jesse.
no problem.